I want to start an educational institute because I am 8th class plus. His qualification was 8th pass. So a person coming from Sikar to Jorhat, which took him 14 days, started his career as an accountant with 30 rupees salary per month. He could create an empire for him, which is 800 crores. You have to have some amount of dissatisfaction among yourself always. That will drive you.
Parents tend to push their kids into pursuing what they dreamt or what they want to dream. They have certain aspirations that they want to pursue. What do you think could be a way for the child to, convince their parents into believing in what they want to aspire or what they want to achieve in their life?
You see, 99% people in this globe doing their job, enjoying a life. 0.1% make a change to this globe. So you should be the change maker in a small way or in a big way.
So I have seen a surge in the number of placements that private institutions are promising rather than the government institution. The number is increasing.
They take extra care to see that anybody who is entering into their system, they get best quality education and also they get better exposure. The average fee is 10 lakhs of rupees per annum and it goes up to 20 lakhs of rupees per annum. So imagine a student qualifying NEET, he or she has to pay minimum 50 to 60 lakhs to 1 crore of rupees to get undergraduate medical education.
And there is more to go.
There is more to go.
It's something that we need to think about because 1 lakh seat and there is a competition among 25 lakh students.
My daughter this year qualified NEET with 606 marks, was having 24,000 rank last year. This year her rank is 74,000. So she is not able to also comprehend what happened.
Namaskar, welcome to yet another episode of the Untold podcast. Today we have a special guest, the Vice-Chancellor of Assam's or Northeast, one of the largest private institution, Kaziranga University's Dr.P.K.Mishra. He was the founder of Bhubaneswar's KIIT. KIIT being a hub of producing numerous students from the professional educational background. Numerous students have got placements into big corporates or big companies. We are here to understand what was the story behind. How with just 2 faculties and 12 students, the ideal journey of one of the biggest private institutions began. How Dr. P.K. Mishra helped in building up a private institution situated not in Guwahati, but in Assam's Jorhat. Why Jorhat? He reflected upon that in this podcast. We spoke about how ideally a student can develop his or her career by pursuing the education that he or she desires. It is not upon the system or the academic curriculum that you follow in a certain institution, but what you pursue by heart is what you want to achieve. In this podcast, we have deeply spoken and discussed about how a student should ideally proceed. And interestingly, how an institution helps in grooming the ideal career for a student beyond just curriculum. This is a very interesting episode. If you are a student, you must watch it. If you are a professor or a teacher, you must definitely watch it. And if you are a professor from a public institution that have good name but no work, you should definitely watch it. Watch this podcast till the end. Welcome to the podcast, sir. कैसे हैं आप? कैसा चल रहा है?
Thank you very much. It's been good. And thank you for inviting me to the podcast.
Sir, firstly, it's an honor for us because nobody from any institution have taken out their time to speak to us. और specifically अब जब हम लोग के education system के बारे में इतना सब जगह इतना discussion हो रहा है, हम लोग भी सोच रहे थे कि एक distinguished episode अगर हम लोग podcast या कुछ माध्यम से ही education system के बारे में बात करें तो एक बहुत अच्छा documentation भी होगा. So I'm hoping to get some new knowledge from you. So sir, if I begin with the question, the current situation of the education system in India, आपको क्या लगता है क्या हो रहा है amidst all the irregularities, scams? What is your take on that?
Oh, okay. I will come to the irregularities and scam a bit later. But since you have raised a very important question on the present education scenario of India, let's look into the positive aspect, right? So you see, if you go back to the history of Indian higher education system, During pre-independence or post-independence era, during that time when India was having a transition from British era to our self-rule, at that point of time, major focus was on liberal arts, and mostly the higher education system was towards creating clerks for government sector, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Of course, with some emphasis on natural science, because outstanding scientists like C.V. Raman and many have come up. But there is no focus on technology education or business education or medical education in a big way.
Okay.
Now, during last maybe 2 to 3 decades, India has seen a great change in the higher education scenario, and it has a transition to professional education, and mostly engineering or management or maybe medicine, such type of education. And the advantage, you see, today, why do you go for education? Obviously for knowledge. At the same time, you should be employable.
Yeah.
So if we see the employability scenario, the better employability is in the professional education, skill education.
True.
So that has been a great change. And another significant change is participation of private sector in the education sector, and again in the professional education sector. And if I'm correct, then probably 70% of the professional higher education scenario in the country is controlled by private sector.
Okay, that's a big number.
Yes. And you see, there are mixed reaction to it, both positive and negative. Yeah. But for a large country like India, with limited resources in the government sector, I think there is no alternative to private participation. And if we take the example of developed countries like United States, you see the private universities are topmost universities in those countries. So somehow that mindset is changing, and India is leaping forward towards focus on professional education, creating more entrepreneurs. And as you know, during last decade, entrepreneurship, which was unheard of.
It's in the peak.
Yes. During my time when I was a student, I didn't know what is entrepreneurship. We all thought of going to a government job.
Yeah.
So probably very few are now thinking of going to a government job. Think of your example.
Yeah.
You are a graduate from Cotton University, and you thought of starting a podcast and something like that. So that change has happened. Higher education, more focus on professional higher education, focus on entrepreneurship, focus on innovation, focus on incubation. All these things has happened. I think this is the beginning of making India one of the largest economy in next maybe 30, 40 years to come. So that's the positive part of it. Now coming to your question, scams, all this, you see, it's a very controversial topic. And think of India as a country, 150 crore of population. When there is a huge gap in the demand and supply, usually you cannot avoid such type of scams. I am not justifying that, but we are trying out probably the government system, the bureaucracy, the governance, they are trying their best to bring a very stable system, very perfect system. But ho jata hai. And I will give an example of my own daughter. You see, think of NEET, the controversy of NEET. My daughter this year qualified NEET with 606 marks. And with that mark, a candidate was having 24,000 rank last year. This year, her rank is 74,000. So she is not able to also comprehend what happened. How can 50,000 students come in between? With the same rank, she could have got the rank of 24,000 this year as well, or 25,000 maybe. So there is no answer to such questions. Yes, of course, scams have happened, but to what extent scams have happened? And so it's again a very controversial topic. I would not like to focus much on this. But you see, 25 lakh of students aspiring to be admitted into medical education. How many seats? 1 lakh of seats. So it's such a huge competition. I don't know what is the solution, but this is not a very ideal situation for higher education aspirants in this country.
It's something that we need to think about, because 1 lakh seat and there is a competition among 25 lakh students. And in the years to come, this will definitely increase. What will happen then? What do you think? What will be the situation of the education system in next 5 or 10 years?
You see, specifically, if you ask me about medical education, for example, where there is a huge demand, you see, I take example of one of the very prominent medicine practitioner, Dr. Devi Sethi. You know about him. I saw one of his interview or podcast, whatever it may call. So he was with the opinion, why we are not creating more and more number of medical colleges. And the regulatory framework of India is not conducive to establish medical colleges, which is probably not necessary. We should not have that much stringent condition.
Okay.
He was giving example of European countries. And I don't know, I don't have much knowledge about that, but still, if I take his word, he was telling you don't need such a stringent regulation or huge infrastructure to start a medical college. So medical education should be more liberalized. There should be more scope for medical education, and more number of students to enter into medical education. So I think the policymakers, the planners have to think about it and try to find out a way how we can have more number of medical seats and affordable medical seats. I will give a very important point here. You see, among 1 lakh medical seats available in India today, probably 50,000 medical seats are government seats, where the fee structure is very nominal. A brilliant student and whose economic condition is not that good, so he will be interested or she will be interested to pursue that. But rest of the 50,000 seats, I don't know whether you know about it. The average fee is 10 lakhs of rupees per annum, and it goes up to 20 lakhs of rupees per annum. So imagine a student qualifying NEET, not being able to enter into a government medical college. He or she has to pay minimum 50 to 60 lakhs to 1 crore of rupees to get undergraduate medical education.
And there is more to go.
There is more to go. So how can we think of creating a great medical infrastructure in this country? So I believe there should be way to have more number of medical seats with affordable medical education. I don't know, again, I don't have a straight answer to that. But I think it's possible. If we can think of, we can deliberate, we can debate, there might be a way to find out.
Sir, lately I have seen some of my friends, they passed out from KIIT.
Okay.
So what they said is, if they had opted for a government college, they might not have got placement into any such companies. But because they opted for KIIT or any other private institution, they are getting placements. So I have seen a surge in the number of placements that private institutions are promising rather than the government institution. The number is increasing. What do you think is the reason behind that phenomena?
It's a very interesting question. And let me give an analogy. You have hotels like Taj Group of Hotels, Oberoi Group of Hotels, and you have also hotels by Government of India, ITDC or OTDC. So people go to private hotels because of services.
Yeah.
Now this higher education, specifically professional higher education, it is more towards creating opportunity for the students. And in addition to providing good quality education, it's about providing right kind of career opportunity for the students. Now, no doubt, government institutions have good infrastructure, good faculty members, everything is great. But at the same time, probably the drive is not there in the government sector. It happens automatically. Yeah. You see, corporates come to IIMs, IITs, NITs automatically because they feel there are a good number of students and good quality students in those institutes. And in comparison to that, private institutes like any other institute, whether it's VIT, KIIT or any other institute, they have to struggle for their existence. Yeah. Unless they create opportunity for their students, they know that they are not going to exist. So they take extra care to see that anybody who is entering into their system, they get best quality education and also they get better exposure. So because of this special initiative of private organizations, students get better opportunity. That's true. But at the same time, it's not that all the private institutes are good and all the government institutes are bad. No. There are great government institutes even today. If you ask me personally, no private organization in this country can compete with IITs or IIMs, all this. So it's a long way to go. Though in countries like United States of America, private universities are much better to public universities. In India, still, public universities are much better. And of course, the quality of student intake is good.
I would want to know a bit of story from you. Being in the educational field, you definitely had some aspirations when you were a student. I heard you had a background in chemistry. So I wanted to know about your childhood and your aspirations then and now. I wanted to know your story.
Again, interesting question. It's not me alone. And anybody from my generation, right? So I represent people from my generation. You see, I am the son of a primary school teacher. And I was the eldest of 6 children, who is my father had. And that was the scenario. And you can imagine the struggle, the problem with which we could have pursued our life. But fortunately, I was an above average student. I will not tell that I am a brilliant student. So I did my master's in one of the best public university in the state of Odisha, called Utkal University. And I was among 24 students who were pursuing MSc in chemistry.
Okay.
Then immediately, the day I completed my master's in chemistry, fortunately, I was loved by my teachers, and one of the great researcher who was a professor in that university, he invited me to join as a research scholar. So the day my result was out, the same day I joined as a researcher, young researcher in the professor's laboratory. So from there, my academic journey or research journey started, and I completed my Ph.D. In 1990 at the age of 25. And probably I am one of the youngest PhDs in the state and the country. And the grooming that my teacher gave me, he was a Humboldt fellow. He did much of his research in Germany. So he was a very hard taskmaster. I still remember I will be spending, me and my colleagues will be spending 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock in the night in the laboratory doing research. And it was a condition of my teacher that you cannot search for any job, you cannot marry, and you cannot take leave. Okay. We were unhappy at that point of time. Why so much strictness? But I think that grooming and that guidance has helped me a lot. And when I was a student of MSc, I still remember for my research work, I was going to Bhabha Atomic Research Center, right? You know, that's one of the topmost research establishment in nuclear physics or chemistry or nuclear science. So I was traveling in a bus from Vasi. Vasi is a city in locality in Mumbai, to Chembur, where this BRC, Bhabha Atomic Research Center, located. So in the bus, I happened to talk to a person. He was a young man like me. So I was asking him, what are you doing? Where are you going? He told, I am going to Aligarh. And there is a company called RCF, Rashtriya Chemicals and Fertilizers. I am working there. So honestly speaking, I had just completed MSc and joined my PhD. During that time, I didn't know that there is a system called a company, because we are all knowing that we have to join the government job as a lecturer or as an IS officer or a OS officer. Okay. So there is a corporate, there is a company, and there is production, all these things. It might be my ignorance, but I didn't know it. So I was curious. I told her to educate me a bit more. Then I was so curious that in the holidays, I went to Aligarh. I visited that RCF. And I saw it's a huge establishment, probably 10,000 people are working. It's a fertilizer company. So this was the first exposure to a person like me who had completed post-graduation in chemistry And he comes to know that there is a company which produces fertilizers and there are scope of employment in those companies as well.
Yeah.
So this was the ignorance of people of my generation. Nobody thought of entrepreneurship. Nobody thought of joining even a company, a corporate job. Everybody thought of joining a government job. So our journey started from there. Then after my Ph.D, I was a lecturer for some time. But again, one of my friend or two of my friends and myself, we thought of doing something in Bhubaneswar. I come from Bhubaneswar, right? So at the age of 25, 26, when you don't have any financial background, your father is a teacher, and the similar condition of all my friends and everybody, what can you do? So somehow accidental, we thought of starting a vocational training center.
Okay.
So it was in 1992. We started a vocational training center with 12 students, 2 faculty staff members, and maybe 5,000-6,000 rupees borrowed from our relatives. And that was the beginning of my first entrepreneurial journey as a educational entrepreneur with my friends. And that institute is today KIIT, which is probably having more than 30,000 students, everything. So if you have that type of zeal, that type of commitment, and you can work towards some goal, I think you can achieve certain things. And you see a university or institution like KIIT, which is having 30,000 students, think of the type of direct and indirect employment that is generated for the state, and it has contributed to the overall socio-economic scenario of the state. So I think that has been a great journey.
It is an inspiring one indeed.
It's inspiring. At times I don't believe myself how I've been part of such a great story.
Do you pinch yourself?
At times, yes. At times I think, yes, is it that me who was involved in that? You see, in our country, it's not easy.
Yeah.
You know, the struggle we have to face, and there are so many constraints with which you work. But still, many people have done great things, and probably. And nowadays, people like you, I think, you also, you see, I don't know, maybe 20 years down the line or 10 years down the line,
hopefully,
we will be discussing again. And you will tell me about your entrepreneurship journey, how you started. Your parents might be unhappy. You are not doing a job. You are not doing a corporate job. You are starting something.
I've seen this phenomena as well, where, parents tend to push their kids into pursuing what they dreamt or what they want to dream. So I feel at times whenever I meet my friends as well, they have certain aspirations that they want to pursue. What do you think could be a way for the child to, convince their parents into believing in what they want to aspire or what they want to achieve in their life?
You see, this is a question everybody is debating on and everybody is thinking. Again, there is not a straight answer to this. The reason being, you see, India is a country. Think of the per capita income of Indian population. What is that? It's hardly $2,000, $3,000 per annum. What's the per capita income of an individual in developed countries? It's probably $40,000, $50,000. Yeah. Again, it's a huge nation. Opportunities are not much. In India, why that insecurity is there in the mind of parents? Because every parent like me, even if I would like also my son or my daughter to have a safe career, to have a good job, to settle in life. And as I told you, my daughter who has secured 606, she has secured 99.6% in 10th and 97.4% in 12th education. But she is not sure of getting a medical seat in the government sector.
After 606.
After such a good career. Yeah. And think of students of her friends or of that generation. So there is too much insecurity in this country. If somebody is not having the right type of professional education or career, then there are so much uncertainty what he's going to do. So that pressure will continue for some time. But at the same time, the parents should encourage their children to try to have a path according to their choice or something like that. Again, it's too difficult. Let me be honest about it. Think of a person who is a good artist, student who is a good artist.
Yeah.
So what career opportunity? Everybody cannot be a MFC Hussain.
True.
But if he's an engineer, probably the opportunity is good. Anybody with a computer science degree, he will get some job, he will be settled in life.
Yeah.
So in other type of professions, either you are at the top, you are nothing. So people are fearful of that nothing.
Sir, I wanted to know one more opinion from you. When you started KIIT initially in the days, it was absolutely risky for you as well to complete all of your studies, not opting for any job, starting something from yourself. And again, there was one point, either be the best or be nothing. What was the zeal, or how did you motivate yourself to think that you would be able to do what you wanted, or that you would be best in what you do? What motivated, or how you motivated yourself on that?
It was slightly different. You see, all of us 3 friends, we were doing jobs to get our livelihood. And during our spare time, we are trying to go into entrepreneurship. All of us are staying in the same place, going to different places for work, come back, deliberate debate in the evening that we should do something.
Yeah.
Then we started. So it was a parallel activity.
Okay.
Till the time we saw that enterprise which we have started is going to support ourselves financially also.
Yeah.
We were doing jobs separately and getting our money out of that.
Okay.
But coming to zeal, you see, you have to be a bit visionary. You have to analyze your environment a bit and try to find out where is the scope, where is the gap. Can I think of doing something different? So how do I define it? That inspiration within yourself, that I should be something different. That can only drive you towards achieving something different. Now you told about KIIT. Now I was very successful, did KIIT, having a very comfortable life. I had been the first Pro-Chancellor of KIIT at the age of probably 40. Then why did I come to Northeast?
Exactly.
It was again a challenge. You see, you have to have some amount of dissatisfaction among yourself always.
Okay.
That will drive you.
Yeah.
If you are complacent, if you are satisfied, if you are happy, you have to have some amount of unhappiness. That it's my learning in life. Then only you can grow.
This is a very different lesson to be learned.
I think I have experienced that.
Yeah.
Even today, I feel maybe I can do something different. So you should always think of doing something different. Or you see, 99% people in this globe or in this country, they are just doing their job, enjoying a life. And probably 1% or 0.1% make a change to this globe. So you should be the change maker, probably in a small way or in a big way. It's nothing big or small. So probably that type of inspiration within ourselves, that we should do something different. And there is enough opportunity in this world to do something different. Whatever may be the difficulties will be there. My friend with whom I started KIIT, he always tells me that, you see, rank and risk, or success and risk, goes side by side. If you are risk averse, if you are always in your comfort zone, probably extraordinary things you will not be able to do. So it's there. I think that amount of, I always tell, that amount of dissatisfaction should be there with you. You should not be satisfied always. I have done everything. I am a great person. No. You should have that, so which will culminate ultimately in doing something great probably. If it doesn't happen, no mind. But you should try for that.
How is your relation with your friends now? Are you in contact frequently with them?
Yeah, yes, I am there. But since I am spending more time here in Jorhat, it has been another challenge. So I never thought of shifting to Jorhat probably almost permanently. I thought of starting something here. But the job demanded, so I'm spending more time here.
Why did you decide to come here? Like, how did the journey here start?
Accident.
Okay.
So a common friend introduced Mr. Basant Khaitan, who is the promoter of Kaziranga University, to me in Kolkata. So he told, there is somebody in Jorhat, they want to start something in education. but they don't know what to do, how to do it. They probably want somebody to help them. So again, I told you, the dissatisfaction. I told her, yes, I have done KIIT. Probably I should do something different.
You wanted to do something
so
more.
I thought it's an opportunity. You see, we have already done something. It's running. It's in the auto mode. Probably I don't find much more creativity in that. Some things are being done. There are professionals. So I thought, what does he want to do? So let me meet that person. So we met in Kolkata. And then he told, sir, I want to start an educational institute in Jorhat. So honestly, I didn't know where is Jorhat. At least we know Guwahati, Shillong, all these places. So I told I need to visit Jorhat. So I came to Jorhat. I met his father. So his father was MD Khaitan. 8th class pass. So when he met me, he told, sir, I started my career from Jorhat as an accountant. I came from Sikar, Rajasthan. It took me 14 days to reach Jorhat from Rajasthan. And I crossed 2 rivers. There is no bridge. And I started my career as an accountant with 30 rupees salary per month. But again, when I met him, he was one of the largest business house, Khaitan Group in Northeast, with a turnover of around 800 crores. It was in 2008.
Okay.
So a person coming from Sikar to Jorhat, which took him 14 days, started his career as an accountant with 30 rupees salary per month. He could create an empire for him, which is 800 crores. Imagine. So that entrepreneurship blood is there in Marwadis, honestly.
Yeah.
So then he told, what do you want from me? I want to start an educational institute because I am 8th class plus. His qualification was 8th pass. So I want that I should create opportunity for students from this region who may not be that brilliant and not getting opportunity to pursue professional higher education. Can we create an educational institute? You see, when I saw the excitement in his eyes and the commitment towards society, so my immediate answer was yes, without knowing what is the terrain of Jorhat, what is the connectivity. I told yes, if BITS Pilani could be created in a desert 70 years before or 60 years before, and today it's one of the best private university in the professional education in the country, in the globe. So why we cannot create an educational institute in Jorhat? That was the beginning. Again, that was the excitement, and that excitement comes from the small dissatisfaction you always have within yourself that I should do something different. Journey started.
And now I believe Kaziranga University is one of the largest private institution in the entire Northeast.
Yes, one of the, yes. And in a place like Jorhat.
Jorhat, yeah.
Not in Guwahati.
True.
I took a train from Jorhat yesterday. It took me 7 hours. I came, I stayed in the hotel, and to spend 1 hour with you in Guwahati, you imagine how much time I am spending. Then I have to go back today by train. You come either by road or by train. So in a place like Jorhat, you are creating opportunity for the students of Northeast. And today in that university, you have students from all over 8 states of Northeast, starting from Sikkim to Arunachal Pradesh to Manipur, everywhere, and Nagaland. And what was happening otherwise? All those students were going to outside.
Yeah.
Or some of the students, because of lack of finance, they were not going outside. And from that university, more than 4,000 students are now working all over India. Yeah. And some of the students are doing Ph.D. in US universities and doing job in Germany and UK. Yeah. Is it not a significant achievement? Sure. Maybe in a small way.
Yeah.
It's not as big a university as many of the bigger universities in the country. But a small difference is big enough to make a great social change. And you see, that type of satisfaction. And I have invited many of my friends from all over India, come join this university as a faculty. What is their question and what is my answer? They tell, why we will go from Bangalore to Jorhat? So I tell them, you have made your professional career. You have earned enough. You have created opportunity for yourself, your children, your family. But at the fag end of your career, try to make some contribution to this part of the country. And the satisfaction that you will get from this activity, it will be probably much more than the amount of money that you are getting from other institutes. And many people, many outstanding faculty members, they are attracted to this place because they find, you see, everybody will not be interested, but there will be probably few who will be interested to do that. And today, if you go, you will see we have faculty members from all over the country. Why somebody, you tell me, why somebody will come from Mangalore, leaving Manipal group to join Kaziranga University in Jorhat? So you have to create that environment. You have to create that feeling. I call Kaziranga University as a family. It's not a university. So if you create that environment of family, then I think you will be successful.
So I have a question. This is from my personal experience. Could be a bit controversial as well. So when I was in Cotton University, I was pursuing my master's in mass communication. So the idea of mass communication, I think, is going in the field, practicing practical journalism, rather than just writing down notes about what journalism used to be in 1990s or so. When I hear about my friends pursuing mass communication in private institutions like yours or any other, I see how they are practically practicing it. So when I was practically practicing our journalism part outside the institution while being a student, we sometimes used to miss our classes because during the election we wanted to go on ground and make certain stories. What I always felt was, in our university days, I always had the feeling that we are still in school. Like in a school, we used to have a boundary between the teacher and the student while we were just asked to read our books and appear for the test. The same thing I felt was happening in most of the public institutions in Assam, where, they just ask you to study the reading materials and then appear for the exam, rather than asking you how you might professionally excel. So after the completion of, our masters, I saw 2 students getting placement in 2 digital organizations that have lesser engagement than ours, and engagement as in 20 times less engagement than ours. Then I started to have this feeling that maybe they are from a better group, that's why they might be paying them well. We might be young, that's why we might not be able to pay well. But am I in the right path of doing or pursuing what I love? Because I wanted to do practical journalism, and during my educational period, I missed that. I did not get the opportunity or the experience. So I wanted to ask, in universities, do you think the faculty or the institution should also help the student groom themselves as professionals, rather than just treating them as an ordinary or general student among 40s or 70s? So what do you think?
I'm very happy that you have raised a very important question in the academic delivery system in this country. You see, again, if you see the history of higher education in this country, the whole higher education system or higher education curriculum has been more academic oriented than profession oriented. Do you find a difference between that?
Yeah.
So when we were students, we were being taught you have to do ISc, BSc, MSc, Ph.D. So what is that? It's more academic or research oriented.
Yeah.
As I told you, I never knew that there is a corporate culture. But if you go to Mumbai or if you go to metros, they get better exposure, and very few people maybe go for academic research. They will be oriented towards this professional grooming, what you are telling. So with all respect to public universities like Cotton Universities or Guwahati University or Dibrugarh University, so they have existed for last more than 70, 80 years and 100 years. So they started with that academic orientation, which is more curricular focused, right? So there has been very little industry requirement integration into the curriculum. And as I told you, during last 20 or 2 decades or 3 decades, there has been a change in the academic scenario. So you think of mass communication. Mass communication as a subject, when it was introduced in India.
Like nearly 2001 or late 90s.
Right?
Yeah.
Before 2001, what was it? History, political science, economics. So, but mass communication as a subject, probably in developed countries, it would have started maybe 100 years before.
True.
So this professional orientation to the higher education is very new to this country. And our public universities, which has more focus on traditional subjects like history, political science, economics, and there is nothing wrong in it. Probably the time demanded that, or physics, chemistry, mathematics. They had not that outlook. Now, the Mass Communication Institute, for example, yours a Mass Communication Institute, which started in 2001. It started as a subject in public institutes, and many private institutes started it as a professional institute. So when the private institutes started this as a professional program, their focus from day one was career orientation. They have tried from day one how my student, when he is passing from this institute, how he is going to get a job.
Yeah.
So the goal is to get a job. The goal is not to get
Good marks
and go for PhD.
Yeah.
So if you have to have that career focus.
Yeah.
In our university, today we are inviting more than 100 companies to recruit students to a place like Kaziranga University, Jorhat. So that's our focus from day one. Three things. In private university, what we are doing, probably many are doing, our focus is how our students can get jobs, how our students can turn out to be entrepreneurs, and how our students can get better higher education in international universities. So if you can groom those students in those three objectives, you have to design your curriculum accordingly. Think of NEP now. So they have come out with NEP when? Recently?
2020, yeah.
What is the basic component? What is the basic difference in NEP and what was happening earlier? They have made it compulsory that vocational or skill education and entrepreneurship or incubation culture or maybe apprenticeship, it should be the integral part of our curriculum. Think of NAC, which accredits universities and institutes. They are giving much more emphasis to vocational education, which should be part of all academic curriculum. It might be, suppose, BTech in computer engineering. So you have a standard curriculum, but integrate emerging technologies. So in computer science engineering, every alternate day you are coming with new technologies.
Yeah.
Think of AI, how it is revolutionizing the whole thing. Now it's AI data science.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow it will be quantum computing. So the world of corporate or industry is developing so fast that if you is an academic institute, you don't keep yourself in tune with that moment, you are lagging behind. And when you are bringing all those components into your curriculum and grooming your students to get a good job, then I think you will surpass any other. So even a small private institute will create better opportunity for mass communication students than a public university. That's the difference. And I think promoters of private institutes, their focus is how to create a better career for their students than just confine themselves to the curriculum.
The reason I asked you is when I see media companies hiring, new reporters or anchors, specifically Assam, the industry itself is very small. And when they go on to recruit people or, new students, they lack the practical knowledge. They will be theoretically excellent, but practically they will not.
Agreed. Yes.
So I feel that gap must be reduced here. And sir, definitely NEP will bring that change, I feel, in some sort. So sir, if I go a bit more deeper with the NEP concept, how do you think NEP will impact the students of Northeast? Because Northeast is already a neglected part. It is believed to be a neglected part. But there are immense talents, who be here or reside in this part of the state or the region. So what do you think, or how do you think NEP will impact the students or empower the students of Northeast?
You see, now it's a flat world.
Yeah.
Or you understand, I think, what do you mean a flat world? Yeah. You see, whether it's education or agriculture or healthcare, anything, it's a globally competitive world. If we don't prepare our students accordingly, we will be lagging behind.
Yeah.
So NEP, whatever understanding I have developed, I am not an expert in NEP, but whatever I have developed understanding, NEP has created a system in higher education which is probably in tune with the global standards. So by implementation of NEP, we are making our students more globally competitive than earlier. So it's not a question of Northeast or anywhere, whether it's Northeast or any part of India, NEP implementation is going to give us a global advantage. And specifically Northeast, lot more has to be done in the Northeast in the field of higher education and in field of professional higher education. And I agree, NEP integration into higher education, not only Northeast, but at a national level, it's going to give a global advantage to our students.
So you spoke about dissatisfaction. I wanted to learn about what satisfies you. Like, is it the placements of the students or them excelling in their professional field? Or how do you think, what is your metrics of being satisfied?
Again, I tell you, there is no, I see, have you been a student of science or arts?
Arts.
So I am a student of chemistry. I always give the example of ideal gas and real gas.
Okay.
So ideal gas is not a gas, it's a situation, right? So in real gas, you have carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen. So all these gases, they behave differently in a particular environmental condition, temperature and pressure. But by changing this temperature and pressure, you can make this gas behave ideally. So we call it an ideal situation.
Okay.
So when it's a question of happiness, it's I personally feel there is no concept of becoming completely happy. Okay. You always have some sense of happiness within yourself. Okay. So as a leader of educational institute, whatever I may call, my greatest satisfaction is when a student is getting some career opportunity after completing his or her education from our university. So I am very emotional. I always feel the way I am grooming my son or my daughter, if my son or my daughter, he or she is not getting the right kind of career, think of the trauma I will be facing within myself. So an educational leader or the promoter, whether he may be vice chancellor, he may be chancellor, he may be anybody, or may be a faculty members, their ultimate duty is to see that each and every student of the university or the college, they get some sorts of career opportunity according to their merit. So that's the greater satisfaction. When I see, so I told you about 3 opportunities, job, higher education, entrepreneurship. So I always have a bias towards higher education system in the developed countries, whether it's US or Europe or Australia. So when I see some of my student, he is getting an opportunity to do master's or PhD in a higher education institute in US somewhere. So that gives me greater satisfaction. You will not believe 6 months before, I went personally to meet one of our student, a girl student from Northeast, from Jorhat, who is doing PhD in chemistry in State University of New York, Buffalo. So I met her in the university, I took picture with her, and probably it gave me more satisfaction than to see my own son or daughter doing such a thing.
They would be unhappy to hear this.
No, they will not be. They know me personally. So that gives greater satisfaction when you see some of your student is doing some outstanding career, pursuing some outstanding careers. That gives you, and that should be the objective of each and every leader of higher education system, to create the right kind of opportunity for the students. Just don't provide higher education for the sake of higher education and giving certificates. That's not going to do any justice to somebody.
So I love your analogies, firstly. So we have a template of questions. So we often ask this question to everyone to understand their perspective. So I wanted to know your philosophy about life. How do you see life?
You are entering into a very
Philosophical.
complicated philosophical. You see, even Buddha has not been able to give a right answer to what is life. There has been many great spiritual leaders, many thinkers, many scientists. So it's very controversial. But still, one thing I always fundamentally feel that there should be dignity to human life. Every human being who is born in this earth should have a dignified living. So when I see misery at a very basic level, when you see people living in the slums, when you see people not getting food, these are basic things. A human being, even an animal, has a right to have that. So that creates unhappiness in me, and I feel the basic amenities should be provided to each and every individual, to the society. How it will be done, again, it's a big question. And that gives me, and that's the answer, if at all I can give. We should have dignity to human life. Again, dignity to human life, that will be a big philosophical question.
Yeah.
But if we can internalize that, we all understand. We may not be able to explain that properly, but we all understand what is dignity to human life, respect to human life. And every human being should live a life with minimum dignity.
Sir, I had a great time speaking to you, knowing your journey, and it inspired me in many ways, because often as a student, we look it from a very down-to-up approach. Today we got an opportunity to look at the education system from top to down approach. Sir, so at the end, I wanted to know, being the leader of an educational system or institution, how hard or how tough it is to manage your faculties, at the same time convincing your administration, because I know sometimes you would want to make a decision based on the academically, but at the same time there will be pressure from the management. So how do you manage it, and how do you think you are performing as a leader of an institution?
Again, a great question. But I think whether it's an educational leader or an individual like you or anybody, a student, life is full of challenges. You cannot think that everything will be smooth and you will be a leader without any hurdles. Every day, starting from the day I start my office till the time I go to my home, every moment you face challenges. Challenges from faculty, challenges from students, challenges from promoter. So there are many stakeholders in the institute, right?
Yeah.
So everybody will have their own expectation.
Yeah.
And you have to make a balance. So your expectation might be different from the expectation of a faculty.
Yeah.
But you have to make that balance. So it's easily said than done. But I think to be a successful leader, you should always invite challenges rather than avoid challenges. So I think I work on that principle. I may not be able to explain properly how do I handle it, but as I told you, so you will face challenges and you don't be challenge averse. You always invite challenges, and in the process of solving problems, you get more satisfaction than not getting problems probably at times.
Thank you so much, sir, for the time today. At the end of the conversation, I wanted to know any tips, any suggestion to the viewers or to all of us working here. Your last words for the podcast, sir.
You see, as I told you, as a human being, we should always try our best to achieve our goal without creating harm to our fellow human beings, to the environment, to the society, to the earth as a whole. That will be probably the best quality a human being can inculcate within himself and should inculcate. And that will bring in harmony in a big way to the whole human race.
Thank you so much, sir, for the time. And I loved speaking to you, and I hope to meet you soon again.
Sure.
And someday we will make another part to more, talk deeply about more the subjects, because I love the way you are putting out the analogies, and it was really a pleasure to host you here.
Thank you very much, and I will be very happy to meet you again when you are one of the most successful podcast entrepreneur in the country and probably in the world.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll end the podcast here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this special episode of the Untold podcast. I hope you had fun watching it. I got to know a lot many things about the educational system, the NEP, the people working in the management, the people working in the faculty, and the people who pursue the curriculum that these people make. If you like this episode, subscribe to our channel, like our video, because when you subscribe to our channel, like our video, we get that zeal to make a new video, to make a new podcast and bring out new episodes to you. Thank you for watching this episode. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you. Good night.